me about like finding a concept and not being set that I'm going to sit here and I'm going to do it and it's going to be this way, and that no, it's just a process. I mean, this is just another part of the process. And so like I decided to kind of make a figure, and the other one wasn't figurative at all, you know, and then I wasn't worrying too much about the structure, because for me it's I feel like I'm kind of sketching in the clay right now. I mean, that's sort of how I'm, like, not precious about it. I just want to, like, when it's done, just break it down, wrap it up in a rag, and not and I've never thought of clay that way before. It was always like a finished product. So this approach works. I mean, I am I'm a development director now at a museum, and so I read very widely for my job because I meet all kinds of people that have all kinds of interests. So I have been applying that theory to my interests, you know, where I kind of bring the focus in, and try to find connection, because that's an essential part of who I am. I'm like trying to find connections between things. So I don't know, I've really appreciated this process, and it's been very freeing, and that's a good thing in the midst of all this heaviness that we're all living under right now. So, and I'll stop there.
Okay, that was great. Thank you. Um, Melissa, let's hear from you. I can't see your face.
Oh, you can't see me?
I can now.
Oh, okay.
Hi.
Hi, so I don't have anything physically made, but as I said last week, I think part of my process is hearing from all of you. Again, I'm only 23, so listening to everyone else reflect on these points in their life is kind of giving me insight onto maybe how I should slow down and pause in my moments so that I can kind of unravel all of the things that are going on. Because I'm kind of a person who I have like an idea and then I just start working on it physically. Something that I've been working on more recently is I got like a bike and I'm training for a triathlon. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, so
That's
something
great.
that I do is I'm just physically in motion, and I feel like that's kind of a way that I take my thoughts and avoid the thinking process. So part of this process here, this art process, is allowing me to kind of pause and unravel and really dive into those thoughts a little bit more instead of running away and just moving past it. And I think just listening to everyone else is really motivating for me to take that time for myself, because it is necessary. And I don't want to reach a point in my life later on where it's like, wow, I just was like flying by, running, biking, swimming, and I didn't even unpack all of the emotions and ideas that were running through my head that entire time. And I want to use that to move forward on these upcoming days, weeks, however long it takes for me to just relax and use my creativity to unfold into the clay. So
That sounds good. I think the idea of allowing, I mean, you don't have a choice as to, you know, sort of what thoughts come with you on your bike rides.
yeah.
And so, you know, I find that when I stay in motion, that they kind of sift themselves out. As a matter of fact, when I have something to write, like if I have to write an artist statement or something like that, I take a bus trip. And sometimes I don't get off the bus. I'll go to Philadelphia and come right back or something like that. You know, there's something for me about being on a bus or being on a train. I prefer the train, but they're expensive now. But, you know, so whatever you can do to, you know, allow the extraneous to fall by the wayside. It sounds good. Do you intend to make something?
Yeah, I definitely want to make something. I took this class with the idea that I was going to make all of this stuff, because that's kind of how my wheel throwing class was. Like every class,
Yeah.
bowls, pots, vases, plates,
Mm-hmm.
tons of stuff. And now I think just like, I'm also kind of a perfectionist where I want everything that I make to be, I don't know, just exactly the way that I envisioned. But this is really challenging for me to think of something
No, it's okay.
where I can create it and it's not necessarily intentional, but it is kind of, I don't know exactly how to describe it, but it's not like a plan, because I always plan everything and and I carry out the plan almost flawlessly every time. That's the kind of person I am. And you can't really plan this kind of thing. I can't be like, oh, at 5 p.m. today, I'm going to make this sculpture, because it just doesn't work like that. And I think accepting that is something that I'm just trying to work with right now, and getting myself to allow here to be able to sit here and work on something without really knowing what I'm making is something that I have to get past that step so that I can move forward. But I definitely do want to make something. I just need to make the time to allow myself to sit here.
I'd like to suggest that you don't have to get past that step. I mean, it's not one of those things that you're going to be able to get past.
Mm-hmm.
And, you don't have to do it either. But I'd like to give you a little assignment. I'd like for you to take a ball of clay, okay, just a simple ball of clay, and I want you to spend 5 minutes a day, and one ball on Monday, one ball Tuesday, one ball Wednesday, one ball Thursday, one day Friday, until we meet next time, okay? So you're gonna have like seven little sculptures, okay? Only 5 minutes.
Okay.
And that's it.
Okay.
And then show them to us next week on a board or something. Put them on a board so we can see them.
Okay.
Okay. And don't worry about it. Don't just ride your bike.
Okay.
And apply to schools or do those applications or whatever.
Mia, can I add something?
Yeah,
It's
please.
Tracy.
This is Tracy talking. Yeah.
So the first week, I'm just going to show you something. I had to get over that pragmatic thing. So while we were talking, I just made a little pinch pot.
Yeah.
And I had it, and I kept it and waited till it was dry, and or leather dry, and carved it, and it was very satisfying. And I figure at some point when life goes back to normal and I'm taking classes at Clayworks, if I want to fire it, I can. So, but it was that same thing where I got to play and have something at the end.
So it's like you can check that off the list.
Right.
It's no longer something that's kind of, hovering over you or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's great.
I'd like to add something to what, was it Melissa? Yeah, Melissa.
Yeah, Melissa.
So it's interesting because when I started at Clayworks, it seemed like everybody was a pot thrower, except, even the people in Sam's class also threw pots. And I was like, no, I'm the hand builder. I just don't want to throw. I mean, I've tried it. It's just not for me. And then also, as I've thought about clay more seriously in the last 15 years since I've been involved with Clayworks, I think I've grown in my appreciation for those of you who make functional pieces. And I mean, obviously I love using them, but I have come to realize that you can, that a functional piece can be just as conceptual as one of my free form, globby things that I might make. And I think that hearing you talk about it, I just want to say that it evolves. You know, I think I get it more about how using something functional integrates in your life, how feeling the clay, how making that pot, how making that form, how thinking about how you're going to decorate it, because I had to do that with a pot and think about the decoration and dark and light. And some of the concepts I'm thinking about were all there. And it was a vase, you know, it was a functional piece. So I think I just want to thank you for being who you are and sharing your thoughts with us, because it helps me realize, you know, you're going one way and I'm coming back towards you.
Cool. Thank you, Jane. Any other comments about what Michelle had to say? Okay.
Melissa.
Our Miss Melissa.
I know you got your mind on me, Mia.
I got my mind on yo. Okay. Do you guys now that you're all ready, Michelle, how about let's take a 5-minute break, you guys, and then we'll come back and we'll listen to Michelle. And I'd love for Michelle for you to address last week to this week too. So I think you're really okay. I'll see you guys in 5,
4, 3, 2.
It's showtime.
Yeah.
So, Mia, I have a question about your book, because it's really interesting. Part of this reorganization, I've gone through some old sketchbooks and things, and I used to have this rule, because I'm a big rule person, and that I had to put something in it every day. It could be, you know, but what happens is it got bulky. So I see yours are on rings.
Yeah, I only get ones that are on rings for that very reason.
And where do you get, I mean, is it that thick to start?
Well,
And it has just white paper in it?
I found this at the Micah bookstore, and I thought it was hilarious. I've never seen a sketchbook this fat, and it was an impulse buy. I didn't really need a sketchbook, but I love it. I love how big it is. I love how it feels. I also like sketchbooks that don't have real nice paper in them. I just like paper that's kind of, you know, I mean, I don't want to pay for thick, nice drawing paper in a sketchbook, because that's not how I treat a sketchbook. I don't know if I answered your question, but
so that you got that from Micah?
yeah.
Yeah, so you got it at Micah?
Blick is the place to go. See
Oh,
if
it's a Blick product.
I don't know if you can order online through Micah. I don't know if they do that, but you want to order online.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but
Right.
you know. This
So
is
I'll just look on
like,
Blick. I'll look on Blick.
Look on Blick. This one is I don't usually. I'm a pretty big rule person too. I'm trying sort of to be less rule.
Yeah.
But I write in this little guy every day. I think I told you it's my COVID diary.
Yeah.
And it feels right to be able to
Yeah.
do this every day. I mean, did you like doing it every day?
I did, and
Work for you?
what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to keep a sketchbook and just do whatever. If it's a list that I have to go buy light bulbs and
Yes.
whatever tomorrow,
Yes.
I mean, I just like kind of whatever it is, I put it on there.
Yeah.
And but I need it to be thicker, so yours caught my eye.
Let me
Because
see
I'm
if I can see what brand it is. I'm not seeing any information about.
I'll look. Well, I'll check around. I don't want to hold up because it's Michelle's on now, so I think we're
Well,
all
we had
back.
a little break, so
So
okay. Is everybody back? There's Melissa and Jane. Ooh. Jane, it's nice to have you in a lighter space this week. Were you in a dark space last week? Jane, no?
Same spot.
Huh. I guess I'm just thinking about you in reference to light and dark, you know. Okay, Ms. Michelle.
Okay, so I'm at the studio here, and I took off my mask, so hopefully, there's nobody. I think there's maybe one other person over there. I'm going to turn this, and so starting from last week, or are you talking about the first project that you want me to speak from?
You know, in some of those things that just sort of happen naturally or inevitably is we build on the last one, you know. It just kind of happens that way. And when I saw your piece, because Michelle sent me images and also then had them on Padlet, and I just thought it looked like a natural kind of segue into talking about last week, this week.
All right. So I wanted to maybe touch on a little bit what Melissa had mentioned. She has no idea, and so sounds like she's kind of waiting. Reminds me a little bit about Waiting for Godot, that book. Also about her biking. I work out a lot too, and I find that last week after we were finished, I went on a long walk, and all of a sudden my brain just started flooding with ideas because I was feeling too literal with what we were talking about last week, which my thing was masks and bras and stuff like that. Or feeling like I'm wearing a bra with a mask. And I didn't want to really create a piece with a mask on that was literal with mask. So I had these ideas floating through my head, but I was in Lake Placid all week. And then by the time I got home, I mean, when I was up there, I didn't feel like I wasn't in my own home, so I didn't want to pull out the clay because it's messy. And by the time I got home, late Thursday, and then Friday was the day of catching up with laundry, etc. I got into the studio yesterday, and I had absolutely no idea as to what I was going to do, and the ideas that I had on my walk were kind of grandiose and probably over my skill level. So I just took a huge hunk of clay for this project this week and started pulling it and paddling it and twisting it, and eventually it started forming into something. Then I was able to add on to it. So I had no idea. I still don't have a clue. Well, I do have a clue as of now. As I came in this morning, working on it, I have a better idea as to how this can relate to mask wearing. So I'm going to flip it and show you the first projects, and then how it moves into this next project. Maybe you can see something different. Okay, so this is last week's, and it's pretty much in these three little fetal things go inside of the basket. And around the basket is a bunch of little, they could be dead eggs, like we said last week, or they could be a morphing. If you can see here, the little faces looking up at the faceless. This thing that's holding up the basket is a faceless thing, and it's kind of looking down upon itself, if you can see that. And there's other little faces in it, and it starts evolving into the rock. So for example, this little rock is a little face, but then the rest of they start morphing into just little rocks with craters and holes and stuff like that. And so that's that. And then this week I have that little figure can sit inside of this figure here. So that came second, but this piece here, I'll just twist it around. There are two little figures trying to coordinate here. If you can't see it well, let me know, but there's a little face like coming out of this person. And I'm not finished with it. I don't know what to do with it back yet. It's a hand. And then another little person kind of reaching up. And she looks kind of tired. It's hard to show you here, but her face is kind of tired and old. And then this little guy just fell over. Oops, get over here. This can sit inside of it. And I just added arms. I'm starting to add arms today, where I finally got the idea of smothering. I felt that word came to me, the word smothering. Then I thought, aha, the mask smothers, the mask protects, the mother protects, the grandmother protects, Mother Earth protects. And that's as far as I've gotten, as far as concept goes. And I had no idea what this could have meant when I started it yesterday. I felt like a good crammer. I've always been a good crammer in school when it comes to testing. The night before I'll study and then I'll get a B on or a B plus on my paper, etc. So, but anyway. So I was feeling tormented when I got here yesterday, and I even sent Mia a text saying, I have no idea what to do. And then all of a sudden I just started putting this together, and then this is what I have. Last week, and then this week. Ta-da!
Yeah, that's great.
We keep them there though, will you?
Oh yeah, sure, let me just turn around.
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay. Can you pull back a little bit so we can see them both at the same time? Okay. Okay. Does anybody have anything to
Let's see.
any observations about one piece to the next piece? I could be kind of off base on this, but I think there's some similarities here.
Yeah, I mean, I was struck right away from the coils, which are like tendrils a little bit in the first piece, and I see that same movement with the fingers and the arms and there's a lot of that same concept. So it's like yeah. And
I'm thinking
it's things within things.
So the coils or tendrils, things within things in both cases. Jewel, anything?
I just wanted to say that
Oh, sorry, Jane.
That the little egg-like things in the first one appear to be maturing in the second one.
How about it's more than just the little eggs that are maturing? I mean, I personally, I find the sort of transition, if you will, or going from this first piece to the second piece, phenomenal. I mean, I think that the maturity, to use Jane's word, in the second one is just, I think it's really quite beautiful the way, the first one moves to the second one. And that I really think, Michelle, you made a big leap there.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I just want to add also the smothering that, and I know you were trying to say this, I'll just make it really clear. The fact that it has mothering in it is really pretty powerful.
Uh-oh.
Right.
We could be here for years.
No, I didn't mean it that way. I meant it only
I
in
know.
the sense that, I actually didn't think of mothering as smothering. I just was thinking that the fact that you came out with that word and that it has mother in it,
Yeah.
it's almost like two sides of it.
Can
also,
I just
Tracy,
add one other thing, Mia? What I'm struck by is there's like this leap to freedom of just like being very expressive with the content in the second one, and it strikes in terms of like, I don't know if technique is the right word, but there's a freedom of expression that was happening in the first one, but kind of like went and exploded in the second one. So
yeah.
it's very expressive.
Because we are in the business of using clay, what can happen is that, and clay lends itself to the vessel. And in this case, I think conceptually and also visually, the vessel form really works. And so don't be surprised if, it's like, oh, wow, I did a goblet, or, oh, wow, I did a vessel, or, even if you're working organically or abstractly, I mean, there's so little, I mean, there's a dance there, just like you guys were talking about before, and sort of Tracy's brilliant idea of just kind of getting the piece that she can fire in the future sort of off her chest. It's off the table now. I'm really going to go into the process. There's a very beautiful, delicate dance between the two, and I think some of the most beautiful functional work, just like Jane was saying, has the depth of concept that's every bit as deep as something that's organic or abstract, or not organic, but more abstract. So I enjoy the suggestion of classic ceramic forms here, the goblet or the vessel. I mean, if you turn the second one over, it's a little more vessel-like, but still there's a vessel, or kind of an opening, just sort of creating an opening there. I think Michelle's change of scale, the hands are large, the head is large. I think that really adds to the small scale. The smaller pieces, I think, are real successful in the second one, partly in relation to the fact that there's a different sort of scale for them to relate to. So I don't know. I think it's good.
I have a question for you, Michelle.
Pardon me?
The little piece. I have a question.
Okay.
The little piece that goes inside.
Uh-huh.
Is it like theoretically go inside like the other one, or you actually have a place for it? What are you thinking? And I think there's an open space towards the back, and I'd love to see it.
Well, it's the piece is too wet right now, but it does fit underneath her, like so. And there's a little hole, like where her hand is here. There's a hole, and see, so you can see the inside. So you might be able to see this one peeping out, but it was intent. I don't know. I mean, I intended it when I did it. I thought, oh, this guy could sit inside, almost like those Russian dolls. You know, the doll inside the doll inside the doll. I think it kind of, with whatever I'm going through right now, I think it kind of fits with the theme of smothering, mothering, generational DNA, generational curse, epigenetics, you know, all that kind of stuff. So that's why I was thinking it would be hiding underneath, but I kind of like it. So I'm not sure if I want it to be hiding. So I have to figure out if that's what I really want. Another thing is a tea light could sit underneath her and shine, and there'll be a glow that'll come out from the hole. So it could just be a decorative piece at the end, like with, you know, the glowing through her heart or her center or whatever. So I'm not really sure if I want that little figure to go inside anymore, and I won't know that until later. I'm not even sure I'm going to glaze these or finish them, if I will. So, I mean, as far as colorants.
If you plan to fire your pieces, this piece, you know, is her head hollow?
I'm going to be hollowing it out. Right now it's still too wet and there's no armature in there. So it's starting to firm up some, but I'd have to maybe hollow it and put her head back on the back or something.
Yeah. But the bottom piece is hollow, right?
Oh yeah, it's like a pinch pot. So
yeah.
It's like,
okay. All right. Somehow make sure you have 2 holes. You know, like even the pinch pot form, when it hits the kiln shelf, it can be a needle. It can be one that doesn't even show. It doesn't have to be as large as the hard hole, but just make sure the air can get in and then out again, you know, so there's a change.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Anybody else about Michelle's?
So should I flip or does anybody else?
No, let stay here. Stay here.
Okay.
The next piece that I want to go through with you is what's next. And I don't want you to edit it. I don't want you to say, oh gosh, I'm going to become the most famous ceramic artist in the universe or something like that. Don't like, just like what's next? Plain old what's next. You know, it could be Tracy's just, I'm going to get a sketchbook. Okay. I'm going to do this. Okay. So let's kind of try to just stay with, again, stay with the process as much as possible. I mean, obviously each of us has a different kind of time that she can use for this process. It doesn't mean that because Melissa has less time that she's getting any less out of it. Okay. So it's really, really important that with process stuff, you don't really know what's sticking. You know, it's not like, you know, what is it when you throw it against the wall? There's something you throw against the wall. Oh, noodles. It's not like noodles.
Right.
Okay. So, Michelle, what's next?
Okay, sorry. I'm now off mute. I said I missed the first beginning of what you said after you said something about sketchbook.
Muted. In the name of keeping you guys focused, or not focused, but just sort of in your process. And all you need to know is one step. I don't want you to guess the end. I don't want you to think about the end because there isn't one. Inevitably, you're going to finish pieces. I mean, but I want you to just sort of rest easy and, oh golly, I only need to know one thing. Okay. So what is your one thing? What's next for you, Ms. Michelle?
Oh. Put me on the spot here. I don't know what the next thing is.
Yeah, you're going to hollow out that head eventually when it gets drier.
Okay, so you're talking about these pieces. This
sure. Oh yeah, piece. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, I still want to
You're
finish
still
working.
in the process. I mean,
Okay.
even though you're,
Oh. Well, I want to finish this piece. I want to finish this little guy, which
okay,
this morning,
all right.
adding these little hands and all the arms around this central figure who seems to be not unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to finish that, and I don't know the main font one, which is this one. Oops. Yeah, which is that one right there. I don't know what I'm going to do with her, besides hollow her out and do those things like that. But I have to wait till she dries a little bit. So, but then after that, where I find where I get technical trouble is glazing. I suck at glazing. I have ruined so many pieces. So I don't know if I want to do like your typical commercial glaze or if I just want to stain. This is a red clay, and it's not a deep terracotta. It's the 417 Maiolica clay. So I might need some guidance and have to seek guidance on how to finish it after it gets bisque fired, or if I want to do something prior, like an underglaze or a stain prior to bisque firing. So those problems I probably need to consult someone with, so I don't mess. I really like these, and so I like to make stuff, and I like, I've made some really crappy pieces, so I like to follow through and finish with what I start, just to see. Earlier it was to see, what the outcome would be, how ugly it would be, or what mistakes I shouldn't make again. But this time I want to keep on building upon. I'm enjoying going outside of my comfort zone. This class has helped me do that, to allow me to just do stuff. But I know I need some more technical knowledge on building and also finishing. So after this, I'm not sure, maybe I want to come up with my thing that you were talking about, identify my thing, and then maybe create a body of work around that. Does that make sense?
Maybe. I mean, don't force that. Okay. You got a good piece. I think you could do more of these pieces. What I mostly want all of you to do is to say to yourselves, this is what I'm doing, and this is what I'm doing now. You can stop and do a little writing. You can say, what is this reminding me of? Oh, it's reminding me of so-and-so's version of the Adam and Eve story with the snakes and la, 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 la. So, and then whatever comes up, like if it's reading, or if it's an image or something like that, then look, just keep, as you sort of identify your thing, when something occurs to you, follow that lead a little bit. Keep looking out as you look in. Okay. So just say, what am I doing now? What am I doing now? And it could be that, what I don't want you to do is pretty it up or make it look nice. Especially,
I don't want that.
No.
I don't want it to look, I don't want to try to refine, because I was looking at the face, I'm like, okay, the face is done. I mean, she's pretty much done.
Yeah.
So I don't want to try to smooth anything out, which that's what I sometimes think that I'm supposed to do. Just like let it be, manipulated, and just let it stay manipulated like that, so.
There's always time to smooth it out if that's what you want. Okay. Any questions for Michelle? Anybody have a burning suggestion? Okay. How about, let's go with Jane. Since we started with Jane. Jane, what's next? And keep it abbreviated.
Well, I'm sitting here making little, I was inspired by someone saying I just started with the coils. That was Tracy. No, who was that?
Julie.
And I like that a lot. And so I'm making little freeform little pieces because,
Okay.
the one thing I haven't done is work with clay all week. And I think, I am doing a lot of drawing. because
Like the ones you showed us?
did I show you the Zentangle drawing? Yeah. So I'm still doing that, and it's profoundly dark and light because that's what it is. It's black and white and gray and sometimes colors. So I'm just going to keep moving, and I think I'm going to stay with my starting piece and work with it.
Yeah.
And start to transform it. I think I like it enough as a base that, I mean, it may end up looking completely different.
Is it right there?
Yeah, it's still here. I haven't done anything with it, but I've been looking at it, and I think it has potential for, certainly. It's not the kind of clay that sits outside. I mean, it would crack, I guess, this kind of clay that, it's not outdoor sculpture clay.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that it could sit outside in warm weather and develop, stuff. There's a lot of little holes and cracks. And I have a feeling that the little pieces I'm making now will be add-ons. So I think that's where I'm going, and we'll see what happens.
That sounds great. Any comments?
I have a comment.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to tell you I don't want to come out like I'm telling you what I think you should do, because sometimes that's how I sound. But I really I like those, and it reminded me of characters. And even inside your Zentangles, they're like little characters. They're your own characters. They don't belong to any Inca, or you know what I mean, other culture or whatever. And I think it would be cool to see like a language that you could create out of your, with your own little shapes, like almost like characters. I don't know what the word is. I had a word, if I can think of it all.
Well, I think I know what you mean, because right here, I've been starting to see a body shape. And this is from the first week.
Oh, yeah, I see it now. Yeah.
I mean, pieces of a body. It's gone from, remember, I started with angular tesserae, choppy little angular tiles. And it's definitely becoming more, yeah, I can see what you're saying.
Well, so that could be the whole sheet could be, and then anyway, I just saw that when you were talking and showing us that in your Zentangles. It seems like, creating your own language with just little characters would be interesting, and only you would know what it's saying. I don't know, but
thank you. That's very helpful.
Julie. Julie.
Unmuting.
Okay.
What am I going to do next? Well, I'm going to keep coiling, and I think I'm going to start with a platform. So I need to make a slab, and then I will build from there. I don't have the quantity of clay that you all have there. I have some left, but mine will, I guess, reflect whatever I have. And I'm also going to, I had an inclination that I wanted to do some research through my writing. Where I ended up was the temperature rise, how that's affecting the ocean and sea life. And so I wanted to do some research on that and look for some inspiration. Maybe it won't change what I end up with physically, but mentally it will put me in a more informed place to move forward. And I really want to avoid the negative. And all of you are so inspiring to me that you're not dealing with the negative. And I really want to take what I'm learning from you all and sort of putting a spin of optimism. And I need to leave space for the good that's going to come out of all of this. And I guess I want to be thinking about that, and again, reading about my favorite publication is The Atlantic. And every time I go to that, I actually go to that to feel better. and so I'm gonna do some more research with my most recent issue of The Atlantic, I guess, is another thing I'm going to do.
Any comments about what Julie just said?
I have a comment.
Huh?
Well, I was kind of thinking, if you think that, this is just me, I don't know anything, but if you think that the negative, that's all you're thinking about, something's pressing, I think you should go with the negative, and I think then the outcome could be a positive. I think that don't push away the negative to try to find a positive or a feel-good thing. I think that you should follow your, I'm not a psychiatrist, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but I'm just thinking you should follow it, let you feel it, and then go from there. That's what my gut is saying about that, and that's what I heard when you said that. Because I'll tell you, I look at my stuff and I'm like, this isn't positive, this is like my angst, my pain, my trauma, blah, 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 but, then I do it and I'm like, oh, I kind of like that I accomplished something, I made something, whatever. That's just me, so anyway, I'll mute.
Well, thanks, Michelle. I guess I was inspired by yours, ironically, for the positive, and it was that word mothering. Maybe that Jane pulled out of your smothering that it was like, oh my God, there you go. There's some magic and some comfort. So isn't it fun how we all, our minds, what we bring to it really, I'm just kind of tired of looking at the negative, I guess. I'm searching for an opening. So I appreciate what you're saying, and I'll try to do both. Thank you.
Joel, I'd like to suggest that never underestimate the power of this process to work through the negative. I think we artists surprise ourselves. It's like, I made that. It's like, whoa. And I think you can trust the process. We'll make stuff. I'll make stuff, and it's like so bad and cheesy. I'll start off cheesy as opposed to negative, and then I might get more dark. The word negative, I think, is troublesome. Because it sounds a little judgmental, but I prefer the dark and light, if that's in fact in that for you, Joel.
Yeah. A lot of dark.
Joel.
Light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also loved what you said about how you love the Atlantic. It occurred to me, wouldn't it be fun to choose an Atlantic, okay? And to, not unlike what I suggested for Melissa, do a little sculpture, do a quick little sort of response sculpture to each of those stories, or pick 2 or 3 stories and give yourself a time limit, and just not worry so much about the negative or the dark, or, I spend too much time in the negative and not enough in the positive. Just, it's that staying in motion thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else?
just want to say, look where I started.
Where'd you start?
I started with nihilism, one of the darkest ideas. And here I am, you know, somewhere else. I think I'm a good example of that.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going up in the world. But just, I don't know. Is dark scary? And I'm sort of addressing everybody with this. I mean, we're going through dark times, but we're going through them.
It's tiresome.
Mhm.
Dark for me is tiresome, and I don't feel energized by it in any way. I guess that's all I have to say about it. When you brought that up, I just felt, it just feels so tired. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of feeling this way.
Anybody else have an opinion or point of view about dark? You know, since we're living that. Trace or Michelle?
Oh, yeah, I was just trying to, I mean, I've had dark times outside of COVID, and I'm talking, you know, like profoundly dark and just wailing and crying beyond, you know, like, you know, I'm sure everybody has that, you know, it's just like terrible, you know, and then it's exhausting, and then you know, you come out of it and you still feel terrible, but you feel eventually if things feel better. I don't know if there's, you know, I think that's why, you know, they have the suicide prevention weeks and all those kind of things, and just awareness, that kind of stuff, because you get so dark that you can understand how some people just let it go. But I don't, but I can understand how some people might and do. But it's done when you do something like that. It's there's no, you know, what's it called? There's no second or do-over, you know, it's not a dress rehearsal, etc. So, you know, I think that, you know, when you're having bad times and you know, it's hard and dark, you have to, and you come out and you have a better day, maybe that's when you can say, I'm having a better day today. I'm wondering why I was feeling so dark. Sometimes I question myself, like, and when I'm so down, I'm like, what's I so down for, or whatever, you know. And then and it's not that I'm on the polar opposite, unless of course I've never been diagnosed with that kind of problem. I don't think I have that problem. I think I'm just human, you know. So I don't really know if I have anything really that I'm trying to say. It's just that you know, but you come out of it, and that's something maybe to recognize and then to pay attention to, you know, and then pay attention to your darkness when you're feeling better as to why you're feeling so dark, and maybe then you can start feeling it a different way, from a different perspective, when you're not feeling the same way. I don't know.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. I think actually for Melissa, that's one thing that we oldies have kind of experience with is, you know, that you do get through it. So anyway, guys, this conversation's getting kind of dark, but let's move on to.
And I just add one tiny piece. I think there's the personal darkness that, you know, that was it Melissa was just talking about, that I think is a very human, it's part of human nature, and you sort of illuminated it really well. But I think what's different today during COVID times, aside from COVID and the political climate, these are very frightening times in the culture that we live in. If, you know, for some of us, I don't know what everyone's politics is. So I think that to acknowledge that it's there is part of life. I mean, we could all say, oh, well, I've had a really good day, but look at what's happening to all these other people. I mean, these are realities. And I think in terms of art and what we're making, it's it's probably got to be there in some way, working through it.
Yeah. Mia?
Yeah.
It says that my host has blocked my video. Not that I have to be seen, but you might just be seeing my name.
I'll work on that. Let me see what happened here. Hold on.
Okay.
Thanks, Nicole. Yeah, I was worried. I thought maybe you'd gone because you were feeling dark. I thought,
Yeah, I thought that
I'm going
maybe
to call her when this is over.
it's something terrible.
Julie, it says ask to start video. Are you getting any kind of message from me that's asking you if I can start your video?
I just got something here. Start my video. There we go.
Yay.
Yay!
Yay.
I'm still here.
Yeah. Tracy, was there anything you wanted to add to that conversation?
Well, I wanted to add the creative piece into that because I have plenty of darkness and dark corners and but in the last 2 days I made time for myself to kind of play, and part of it was with clay and part of it was with drawing but it's like it was more relieving than the other things that I do, which is read, watch silly mysteries and things, because of what somebody said. It was like I was working through things, and doing that kind of got me to a better place without intent, not on purpose, just the creative process was because I let go of all judgment. I didn't even sit there and go, oh, this doesn't look good, or that's not right, or I used to know how to draw a figure, now I can't even. I just played. I was just same with the clay, just played, like no attachment, the way yogis talk, and it was very relieving.
That's brilliant. I'm happy for you. And I also believe that once you experience it once, you can experience it again. I mean, that you have access to that, not consciously necessarily. I think also one thing that working with clay in particular can do is it's easy to kind of lose yourself in it. Like worry beads, just like, okay, well, let me just, sort of allow, like Tracy was saying. That's great. Tracy, how about telling us a little bit about what's next?
So I feel like I the thing that I'm following right now, and somehow this time of COVID has helped. So I've realized life occurs in episodes, right? I mean, I'm saying this at 61. I see that life occurs I didn't realize that when I was living it, but now I'm aware of. So okay, I'm in a new episode. I sort of feel like I'm in a new episode because I just turned into my 60s. So I'm trying to do it with more intention, and I mean, it's not like it's recent. I mean, it's within, I think COVID helped push that along because it was like, here, your choice. I no longer have the commute. I know, there's more time. There's more time for me to explore the maker part of me. And I'm so I'm going to really stick with this idea of a sketchbook in the broadest sense. And it was very validating for me when you talked about your sketchbook, because I think I did some level of that, but I was a little like, well, that's not what a sketchbook should look like. Like, I don't know, I have these weird ideas in my head, right? So and I'm gonna try, I like that concept of like following the link. What's the linkage? You know, I'm all about connection anyway, connection between people and ideas and things. I have been discovering simultaneous to this class that there are connections and things that seem far afield. You know, I don't want to get into a thing that'll take it too long, but things that you would think have no connection, but somehow you put them next to each other and it's like, oh, wow.
Synchronicity.
I'm sorry.
I said, I think it's called synchronicity.
Thank you,
Oh,
Ms.
synchronicity, yeah.
Synchronicity.
Anyway, so I think that's my what's next is to really get, like, I had this brief experience of not having the critic on my shoulder, and I'm really like, I don't want to have a goal of finishing something or doing something or making something. It's all, what I need to do right now is just, like you said, kind of be in the process wherever it takes me and not with judgment. So
Yeah.
because that's always what's kept me from being creative, is my own judgmentalism of myself. So anyway, that's, you know, and it'll start with the sketchbook, and I like this idea of using clay the way children use Play-Doh. Like, I'm going to make something, I'm going to make this whole thing, woo, 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 and then, oh, okay, the red goes here, the yellow here. And I've actually been having fun with building something and then just collapsing it down. And
Yeah.
because I think if I do want to go further into like this concept of a figure and all that, there is going to be structural things that I'm going to need to understand, but I don't want to get bogged down in those right now. I just want to have fun.
No. Almost like these are maquettes. I mean, there's no reason why they couldn't get bigger, but you know, a smaller version of something that you might work on in larger scale.
Yeah.
You don't know. The thing is, we have the benefit of the phone camera. So even taking something, you know, photographing something in stages,
Right.
it's kind of sketchbooking, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm trying to do with the clay. That's like my next step, is just to have, just kind of have fun with it. And that goes, and including the fact that if I feel like I need to make another pinch pot or some kind of other vessel
Yeah.
or something that seems,
Yeah. It might need a
like I
companion
actually
piece.
found that, yeah. So just to, you know, just not kind of take myself so seriously.
Yeah.
You know, because I feel like that's helpful in the world right now. I mean, everything, there are lots of things to take seriously, and it's like it's overwhelming, and I don't know what direction to focus on. So my what's next, I guess, distills down to, you know, really kind of keep this ongoing sketchbook that's broad in scope, and to play with whatever materials. Like, I mean, I don't know, I just want to show this one thing, which isn't clay, but this is what I worked on this
Oh, no,
week.
please. Yeah.
Dear
Oh, no,
friend
please.
in California is a artist like me, kind of fell away from whatever, went into another direction. So we had this idea of she made an art piece, and she mailed it to me. Okay. You know, it's like collage and it's stuff, and then
Yeah. Yeah. It's lovely.
I got it, and I needed to, I'm creating my piece to send back to her.
Oh, I love that.
And it's like I'm just playing, we're just like playing. So I don't know, it's just been kind of, that's my goal for now. It's like just to really not take everything so seriously, because there's so much, I'm repeating myself, but there's so much going on outside in the world that is really serious and really scary, and all of those things that I need to find. I need to keep this being a productive way to process that. And if I get something nice along the way and I figure out how to structurally make it work, well, all the better. But I just don't want to get bogged down. with that at the moment.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds real good. Any comments for Tracy? I love the idea of the, I have an art pen pal. Well, we've sort of fallen off it, but I think that's a wonderful way. I mean, especially, I mean, I think about doing it with Julie, who's, you know, as I've said, is a good friend of mine, and she lives in Portland and I live here. And, you know, I'd love to go out and see her, but right now is probably not the best time. So I will probably invite her to be my art pen pal. Julie is actually a textile artist. So anyway, okay. Can we hear from Ms. Melissa? What's next for you? I know I told you something, but you don't have to do that, by the way. You're a grown up.
I really like that idea, and I am 100% planning on using that idea that you gave me to kind of push myself out of my comfort zone and to start digging into my ideas. I guess not to like go back to the negativity thing, but something that I think makes me anxious about what darkness is just the uncertainty. I don't really know, like when I'm taking this time to sit down with the clay, I don't know what I'm gonna make or if it would be what I would consider successful. And I think that's something that I deal with in every aspect of my life, just the uncertainty of moving forward, and if something doesn't work, how I'm going to deal with that. So I'm looking forward to working on the project that you gave me. And another thing that I want to do, which seems to be like a common thing amongst everyone in a way, is I want to start journaling again. I used to have a really thick journal, and I was very intentional about writing in it every day. So but I kind of stopped. Like when I get busy, I feel like, oh, it's easier for me to be like in motion physically rather than sitting down and dealing with my thoughts. So I want to be more intentional with that again, and taking the time to sit and write out how I'm feeling, or not even necessarily deal with that, but just anything that comes to my mind.
Melissa, that sounds good. But don't forget that even writing or drawing, or that's movement. There's a difference between just, you know, like this and this onto a surface, because then you see it. And, you know, you can throw it away if you want. You can, in other words, it's an action with a resulting, and gives you a choice for another action, which is, again, getting us back to one step at a time. And Melissa talking about how, you know, the unsureness of it. I mean, nobody can really make any big plans right now. I mean, you know, I mean, we can try, but it's just not a great time for big plans. And for us to recognize our moments, because that's what we have now, is, you know, if you write down how you feel right now, or you write down, oh gosh, you know, just, or even just a doodle or something. There's the idea of marking time, marking a moment, marking it, cataloging it. For me and Tracy, who love rules, you know, there it is. Not as scary as I thought it would be. You know, just to kind of harken back to that. But again, just to really reinforce the staying in the moment with this. And then you'll be delightfully surprised when you really get something out of it. Any questions or concerns at this moment?
I would just like to address Melissa. I was a pre-med advisor for 20 years, and I just want to acknowledge what this time in your process of becoming part of that medical community is like. I'm so impressed by your coping, by movement, and I guess that's just such a major element of, at least I anticipate that being what is part of your reality right now, and what a big deal that is. And I just want to give you all the acknowledgement that deserves, because it's a pretty major point in your development, and the fact that you are reaching out to come up with ways to cope and deal with. There's just so much in your life right now, and you're doing an amazing job at figuring out how to take care of yourself, maybe. I'm reading a lot into it, but I just wanted to acknowledge you for that.
Thank you.
I think one thing that I appreciate so much about meeting with you all is the kindness. I mean, here we are listening to each other and bringing our larger experience to the table. And I think that's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And I know, Melissa, you say, well, I'm so much younger than everybody else, but I think you're an old soul. And so you're right up there with the rest of us, I'm afraid. So I think you're wise beyond your years, and I think, it comes across. So.
Can I add one thing? I mean, Melissa, I
Sure.
think it's so awesome that you're in this group, because I said I've been reflecting on my life, and the one thing I think our society has grown into is it's very segmented in its demographics. I mean, and we see this with race, we see this with things that are obvious, but I feel like with age, when the whole idea of communities and the life we live, which is so busy and everyone's running around, I feel like the sense of community where you had people of varying ages, that piece of richness, I certainly didn't have that when I was your age. Like I kind of interacted with people my own age, and I didn't have that breadth. And I feel like that's something that's gone out of our society. So I think it's cool, and I hope, think of it that way, maybe when you're that this class provided that, because it's kind of cool. I would have liked to talk to somebody my age when I was your age. Just it's all perspective, right? So
Anybody else? For next week, it's pretty clear that I don't have any homework, or I mean, I gave a couple of you some homework, but whether or not you do it, you're in the process, and we'll follow the same format next week, sort of where you may or may not have gotten to in your process. Is there something about it that stuck for you, and stuck in a good way? Or is there something that feels stuck that's not such a good way? So sort of look at those. And whatever you need to do, if it's just manipulating clay, I do like the idea of, Melissa, you coming up with those little sculptures. And if Julie wants to go to her Atlantic and, work with that. I think all of your next steps sound good, really solid. Remember that it's the small ones. One thing that a sketchbook is great for is to write down the big ones, and then they're written down, they're there. Oh gosh, yeah, that's what I wanted to do. So as much as possible, just staying in that process. I'll also talk a bit about what we can do as far as next steps with the colorants are concerned. It's not, I don't know a whole lot about glazes, and I've only ever worked with low fire clays. Low fire clay has just worked for me because my work is so narrative, I guess, or I don't use the wheel. So I'm not a wonderful resource for, you know, cone 10, cone 6 glazes necessarily. It's not rocket science. But anyway, so I want to go into that a little bit. Also, does anybody have any suggestions? Is there anything that I could bring to the table next week that you might want to know more about? Okay. You can always text me this week, or, you know, I usually don't look at Padlet until the morning of, till Sunday morning. So if there's something you want me to bring up, just let me know during the week. I'd like to show you, I'm thinking about showing you the work of some artists next week. I'm a little ambivalent about it, only because, you know, we're so much process oriented, and, you know, I don't want to show you work that, you know, people have been working lifetimes on to make you feel like, oh man, you know, I'll never get there. But, you know, you can't get there anyway because they're there. So I do want to show you a little bit of some ceramic artist work. So at any rate, that's my plan for next week. Also understand that, you know, if you guys, you know, you can always get in touch with me after this is over too. This really is just you know, a drop in the bucket that goes on and on. So, anybody else?
I've been thinking that, this is Jane, this has been so productive, and I like how each of you has helped each other and me and Mia. So if there's at all any desire to like reconnect over time, episodically, I would be interested. You know, I don't know if, you know, Mia, you want to offer a part 2 in a few months, or if people just want to do like a check-in to chat and see what we're working on. I mean, in this COVID time, one of the things that this class has done for me is it's helped me stay connected to Clayworks and meet new artists who are basically trying to do what I'm trying to do, keep my hand in and have a home studio. I mean, there's so much about us all that's so similar. So that's something that if you share that thought and you'd like to do that, I'm interested. No commitments.
Yeah, I think
Thank
that
you,
would
Jane.
be great.
I'll be thinking about that over the week, how we might do that. I'd love to do that. Anybody else interested in that? Staying together, or at least checking in periodically? Whose hand? Was that?
Oh yeah, I think that would be great.
Was that Tracy? Tracy said that?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll work on that.
I like the idea of a part 2 also. I like this is 101, we can do 201 or something like that next time, or, you know, the next level up or something.
All right. I'll think about that.
Super challenge.
Okay.
This doesn't happen very often. I just want to say I've taken a zillion classes at Clayworks and I love it. But these kinds of conversations are not happening unless people want to have them. And I know occasionally in Sam's class, we'd all bring our work together and sort of critique each other, but this is different and I really like it.
Yeah.
And
Good. Thank you.
I would add to that that Mia, you are our guide. you are our shepherd.
Julie.
No, it's like I was telling Mia last week that I just think that what she brings to we 4 or 5 of us is, I mean, it's hard to find. She's so generous with her experience and what she has learned, what she brings to her own work. And I just can't imagine that this is available many places. And she brings this to us through Clayworks. And I just think Mia and Clayworks should be celebrated for this kind of offering that we all obviously are gaining so much from.
Thank you, Joel.
Yeah.
That meant a lot. As did this whole 2 hours. I thank you both. I thank you all very much for getting together with me. So I think that's it. And I will definitely see you next week.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Have a good week,
You
everyone.
too. You too.
Bye.
Hey. That
Hi.
went well.
Yeah, that went really well.
Very intensive class.
I had no idea. Well, I had no idea what it would be like.
Mm-hmm.
I was just seating my pants,
Mm-hmm.
which, whew, I have no rear end left. Darling, what I would like to do is like, I love the work of Roberto Lugo, for example. Do you know his work?
Yep.
I mean, I'd like to, if I find him and put him onto the Padlet, will we all be able to look at him at the same time, for example?
Yeah. Let's, I mean, I don't know. I could always do it for you. So, and do you know do you do PowerPoints or anything like that? PowerPoint presentations?
No,
Oh, okay.
I'm a dork.
Because I could put that together for you. It doesn't take me very long. If you send me all the images you want to use, then I can set it up in a PowerPoint. On the other hand, I haven't looked at Padlet very much, but I guess you could just upload his images.
You can,
Yeah.
but I think a PowerPoint might be better.
Okay. Well, just send me, even if you see other artists you want to show, just send me
Yeah.
whatever images you want. It only takes me about 15 minutes to put it together.
Wow, in my dreams. Okay, I will do that. You're an angel. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you wanted to try to get on the Padlet now, or do you want to just?
I don't know.
I'm exhausted actually right now.
Yeah, I'm exhausted. I think I'm done. And
next week's the last class, right?
yeah.
Okay. All right. Just checking.
It's been great having you.
I'm sure. And if there's anything, like I'm spotlighting people, especially when they're showing work, is that working?
Perfect.
Okay.
It's perfect. I can't believe how well it's working.
Okay. Because sometimes, and what mode are you in when you're on? Are you in speaker view or are you in gallery view so you can see everyone?
Speaker. Well, you put me in speaker periodically today when I was waxing philosophical.
Yeah, and that happens when I'm spotlighting you, so then your image pops up. But once your image pops up, people can click and go back to gallery view if they want to. But if I just want to know because sometimes you say you can't see someone, and I'm wondering what view you're in generally. Are you in gallery view generally, or are you in?
I'm generally spotlighted.
No, I mean, when you come onto the class.
I'm large.
You're large and everybody else is on the top or something? All right, what you should do is you go up to the upper right of the screen and it says speaker.
Gallery view.
Oh, click on gallery view.
Oh, I see.
So
Easy.
you can see all of us all the time.
Oh, see, I would prefer that.
Okay, so just
I
keep
don't,
in
I
mind.
don't ever need to be big because I'm not demonstrating anything.
So yeah, so keep in mind
Okay.
when you come on, you go up to the upper right, and if it says speaker view, it means you're not in speaker view, and you click because that's what we're in gallery view right now.
Yeah, and I can change it to, I see how I can change it to speaker view.
Well, you'll change it to what'll happen is you'll change it to gallery view. What you'll see in the upper right is if it says gallery view, it means you're not in gallery view. So you click on it,
Right.
and you'll see all 7 of us, and you'll always be able to tell who's talking much faster than when you're.
Oh, that's much better. Oh, that's so much better.
Much better. It took me a while to figure out that you're probably not in gallery view.
Yeah, no, I was not in
I
gallery
can't
view.
see you, and I'm like, why can't she see you? And it's like, okay, so you'll be much happier with gallery view.
Much happier. Okay,
Yes.
great. Great.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Sure, and I'll see you next week.
See you next week. Have a good week.
You too. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.